granted a waiver by the NCAA and will be immediately eligible this season. Good for him. And why would we care? We care because we want the NCAA to grant the same type waiver to Olivier Sarr, the 7-foot center who left Wake Forest for Kentucky about the same time. So naturally, you'd think it'd be an easy decision for the NCAA, right? You know, apples and apples, etc. As we've learned many times before, for the NCAA, apples and apples sometimes might as well be apples and bowling balls. We'll see. That's it for your Thursday. Visit wildcatlair.com or join us on Facebook. I'm Eddie Owen.
You can't go long without some good Mexican food. It's just not right. Lucky for you, La Pontosina Mexican Restaurant in Princeton is offering carryouts. They are open 7 days a week, so no matter when the mood calls for authentic Mexican food, you can count on La Pontosina. Open Monday through Sunday, 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. Call 270-365-3848 and place your order and pick it up to go and enjoy. They're waiting for you to call and order today. 270-365-3848. They appreciate your support.
During these uncertain times brought on by the novel coronavirus, the Law Office of Jeff Rousseau is diligently working to meet your legal needs, whether it's estate planning, a real estate transaction, the need for a power of attorney, will, or another legal matter. The Law Office of Jeff Rousseau is open and there to serve you via teleconference or by appointment. They strongly believe that Kentucky will get through this together.
You've been listening to your WPKY News Edge. Find news 24 hours a day at WPKYOnline.com. Serving Caldwell County since 1950. We're 1580, 103.3 WPKY Princeton.
News. I'm Lillian Wu. President Trump expected to fire a shot in his feud with Twitter after it fact-checked 2 of his tweets.
The president will sign an executive order today designed to roll back protections that safeguard social media companies from legal action for the content they allow. The president has long argued social media platforms are biased against conservatives.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland, Twitter CEO, says his company's committed to fact-checking information relating to elections, while the head of Facebook disagrees.
I just believe strongly that that Facebook shouldn't be the arbiter of truth of everything that people say online.
Mark Zuckerberg, speaking of Fox's The Daily Briefing, and first-time jobless claims for last week, 2.12 million. That is very close to the estimate of 2.1 million. And America's listening to Fox News.
W277CK Princeton. Time to take a look at community news here on 1580 103.3 WPKY. This morning's community news is brought to you by Community Medical Clinic.
Well, if you've got something you would like to add to community calendar, it's so easy to do so. All you have to do is email your information, WPKYonline@gmail.com. And we have a Princeton Community Blood Drive on the books. That'll be Friday, June 5th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Princeton Welcome Center right there on East Market Street in downtown Princeton. Now, donors must be 17 years of age or 16 with a parent consent form. Got to weigh at least 115 pounds and will have been 56 days between donations. Of course, all you have to do is present your state photo ID. Now, they're only accepting 6 donors an hour. You need to sign up if you're going to donate, if at all possible. You can call the WKRBC by dialing 888-684-9296. And the Fredonia Activities Committee is still asking for nominations for the Fredonia Fredonia Yard of the Month. You can grab those gloves because the contest has started. Of course, for the month of May, Ronnie and Beth Drennan deserve our congratulations as the first inaugural Fredonia Yard of the Month. Of course, the only stipulation is that your yard or whoever's yard you're nominating must be within the city limits of Fredonia. You can nominate somebody by contacting Caitlin Conway through Facebook Messenger, and it must be nominated by the 10th of each month so that they can announce the winner by the 15th. And with COVID-19 and social distancing, King's Kitchen has decided to hand out bags of food once a week for our kids over the summer. Now, each bag will have kid-friendly food that they can prepare easily. Now, they're going to be limited to the amount of help this year, so they will not be delivering the meals this year. There's going to be one location for all of the families to pick up this food, and the meals will be ready for pickup at Southside Baptist Church under the awning from 12 p.m. until 8 p.m. every Monday. Now, that's going to start July 6th and end July 27th. All kids must be signed up before June 22nd to receive meals so that they can prepare. You may sign up by texting or calling Leanne Gilkey, 270-625-4627, or Amy Holt, 270-601-1229. Now, I do want to add that our WPKY family loves King's Kitchen. It's something that's very special to our heart, and every year we try to help them out, and this year is going to be no different. Coronavirus or pandemic or none, we're going to make sure that they've got plenty of food to feed these kids. Now, what we're doing is a giant donation day. Now, that's coming up on June 12th. Only got a couple of weeks, and so now we're going to go ahead and let you know what they need, because this year it's a little bit different. They need some pretty specific items. We're going to let you know what those items are so that over the next couple of weeks, especially over the weekend when everybody does their big shopping days for the week, you can pick these extra things up, especially if you see any on sale. It's a perfect time to do that. Now, these are the items that they're needing specifically: Vienna sausage, cereal bars, granola bars. They do say no nuts. Of course, some children do have allergies, so we need to think about that. Canned pasta, of course, spaghetti, ravioli, beefaroni are some that they're suggesting. Mac and cheese cups, the ones that go in the microwave, the little pre-made cups there. They're asking for those. Fruit cups as well. Applesauce cups. Cereal. Cookies, of course, again, no nuts in those, please. Chicken ramen noodles. Again, chicken-flavored ramen noodles. Chicken noodle or vegetable soup. Pudding packs or cheese crackers like Cheez-Its, the little cheese whale crackers, the goldfish crackers, any of those would work. Now, you can also, if you say, I don't really get a chance to go out shopping, or that's not something that I'm comfortable doing right now, that's okay, because they also need monetary donations because those gaps are going to have to be filled in. Now, the cost to feed each child for 4 weeks is $36, and you can sponsor a child or make a monetary donation by dropping that off as well during our big donation drive day that we're having again on June 12th. And of course, it only costs, again, $36 to sponsor a child for the month of July. That's 4 weeks. Feeding them for 4 weeks is only $36. So you can sponsor children throughout that time if you wish to do so, or just make a monetary donation of whatever you can afford at the time, because we do also understand that that's different for everyone. And again, you can drop that off at our WPKY studios during our big donation day on June 12th, right here on West Main Street in Princeton. Again, if you have anything that you need announced, and of course, especially right now going into summer, we understand that there's a lot that everybody needs to know, to include today is Tire Day at the Recycling Center right here in Princeton on Egan Street, and it's a one-day deal. It could be extended if the grant money is still there. But today is definitely the day that you need to do that if you can at all do it. It's right there for car and pickup truck tires only. Now, this is not tractor tires. This is not huge commercial tires or anything like that. It's unwanted car and truck tires that you would drive around town in at the Caldwell County Recycling Center. And again, that's on Egan Street today from 7:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Again, if you've got anything that you need to announce, make sure you email it to us, WPKYonline@gmail.com.
Morningside of Hopkinsville invites seniors to not just live with them, but to thrive with them. You can have the comforts of home without the worry of being alone at Morningside of Hopkinsville.
Let me ask you a question. What do you see when you look at your car? Do you just see taillights or your dog's tail wagging when you first brought them home? Do you see 4 tires or 2 tired kids in the back seat after their first day of school? Other insurance companies just see a car, but a State Farm agent sees what your car really means to you. So why not give it the protection it deserves? See State Farm agent Barkley Hudson in Princeton today.
Adams Breezy Hill Farm Princeton is now open for business. They can't wait to see you and present their new menu items. Lots of new choices as well as your staple favorites. Please know that they are taking all precautions to protect us all. Open Monday through Saturday for lunch 10:30 to 2:30 and dinner Thursday through Saturday 4:30 to 8:30. Reservations are highly recommended due to capacity limitation. Message them on Facebook or call 270-365-1234 and they'll return calls and reply as soon as possible. Adams Breezy Hill Farm Restaurant, Princeton.
You have taken every precaution possible during COVID-19 to protect your family. But what about your vehicle? Is it safe? What about your tires? Purcell Tire is here to help you take care of your vehicle to ensure the safety for you and your family. The time will come when we can all hit the road and enjoy a normal life again. Those stimulus checks are arriving. Why not invest in your family's safety with new tires from Purcell Tire, Princeton, 309 U.S. Highway 62 West, or on the web at purcelltire.com.
Do you know the facts about stroke? A stroke causes brain tissue to die, which can lead to brain damage, disability, and even death. Stroke is the 5th leading cause of death in the United States and is the leading cause of serious long-term disability. 80% of strokes are preventable. You can greatly reduce your risk of stroke by making lifestyle changes to help control your blood pressure and cholesterol, and in some cases by taking medication. Eat a healthy diet low in sodium with plenty of fruits and veggies. Maintain a healthy weight. Be physically active. Don't smoke. Limit alcohol use. And know your numbers. You know, blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, and weight. Also, familiarize yourself with the acronym FAST. Stroke is a medical emergency, and stroke treatment and outcome depends on how fast you get to the hospital and on the type of stroke you had. Strokes are preventable. This information is brought to you by the Penarol District Health Department.
Local businesses have supported us in every regard. Now it's our turn to support them. Here's a way you can help.
This is Beth Mann, President and CEO of the Edge Media Group. In times like these, it's good to know your local business person. The company that fed first responders, the shop that donated goods, the store that served as a drop-off location. Local businesses are the backbone of the community. As we flatten the curve and rebuild, we need you to support local life. Keep our local economy strong with our local businesses. Here today, here tomorrow, we're in this together. Support local.
The Edge Media Group encourages you to support local. Be sure to post what you're doing to show your support. #SupportLocal.
It's time for your SportsEdge.com Sideline Report with Todd Griffin. Talking sports and more here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY and worldwide at WPKYOnline.com. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
Good morning, everyone. The Sideline Report is on the air from 1035 West Main Street in Princeton. Thanks for joining us today. Got a big show lined up for you once again. Gary Goodaker and Chris George both in the studio with us this morning. And gentlemen, good morning. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Good morning.
Happy to be here, sir.
Got a lot to talk about today, and I've got notes, but we may throw those out the window at some point and just wing it. But first of all, what have you guys been doing with no sports, Gary?
No sports. The Dinos are hot in the KBO. What are you talking about?
There you go.
Watching a lot of Korean baseball.
It's baseball.
It's baseball.
Anything else going on? Any new TV shows or anything that you're checking out in the absence of American sports?
I'm trying to just get caught up on my work from, the semester getting over with. So I've still been working from home.
Working from home, and I am now an aficionado on Zoom.
Oh, wow. Well,
I've had more Zoom meetings than I had prior to March, which was zero.
They want us to use Microsoft Teams at my work, but yes, I feel like I'm watching a bad episode of the Brady Bunch when I see my computer screen. People who are not my family.
Well, we got to get a break in here. We'll be back and talk a lot of sports and some other things on the Sideline Report this morning, so stay with us here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
At ABC Finance, we have always been committed to keeping our customers and our staff safe and healthy.
In response to the recent COVID-19 coronavirus outbreak, we've implemented several new policies company-wide to ensure the safety and well-being of all.
This includes limiting access to parts of our office to the public, isolating loan closings to one area, and frequently sanitizing all hard, frequently touched surfaces.
We've also asked our staff to please stay home in the event they are feeling unwell.
If you, as a customer, are unwell or are uncomfortable with getting out of the house, stay home. And please remember, payments can be made by phone or online at abcfinanceonline.com.
You can also apply for a loan on our website with fast decisions and quick turnaround time.
If you have any additional questions, please contact the office nearest you. Locations are listed on our website, abcfinanceonline.com.
Also, follow us on Facebook for the latest information. And stay safe from all of us at ABC Finance.
Christian Care Center of Catawba announces Jita Shabda, their new medical director, and that they now have on-site physician services specializing in internal medicine and pulmonary, Monday through Friday during regular business hours. Christian Care Center of Catawba is Joint Commission certification with 57 private rooms, all covered by private pay, insurance, Medicare, or Medicaid. They also have a designated area for smokers. It's the next best thing to home. Call Christian Care Center of Catawba, nurturing body, mind, and spirit.
During this trying time of the COVID-19 crisis, the Body Shop at Trice Hughes is open for business to help you with your repair needs. With the uncertainty that these times bring, Trice Hughes wants you to know they will help with your insurance deductible to get your vehicle repaired. Call for an appointment or free estimate at 270-365-5522. Working together with your home team at Trice Hughes will make sure you receive the service you deserve.
Nominate your track and field mom in the YourSportsEdge.com Sports Mom of the Month contest, presented by Joelle's Bakery and Cafe, GNC of Hopkinsville, and Save More Drugs.
We continue on the Sideline Report here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY. Gary Goodaker and Chris George on the show with us today, and I asked you guys what you were doing without sports. Any ideas, guys, when sports are going to come back?
I don't think we're going to see sports anytime soon, Todd. I mean, we had some golf the other day, that thrilling Tiger Phil, Brady Manning. I watched all 18 holes.
I heard about it, but I didn't get to see any of it.
It was live sports, man. It was must-see TV for me.
Was it the sports or the trash talk you enjoyed better?
The competition.
Just competition. Well, and the trash talk being part of the competition and hearing it. Maybe golf needs to look into having, when they come back, thinking they'll be one of the earliest ones to come back, maybe mic them up and give them carts and let them have that type of atmosphere and see if it makes it a different product based on your comments that you liked that format. Of course, maybe just average golfer may not be as appealing with mic'd up, but when you have four, legendary athletes, then maybe it is more interesting.
Well, and talking about high school sports, I think this fall we will have some high school sports going on. The sport that concerns me the most, though, is football, because when you look at the other sports, there are some ways to kind of do the social distancing thing and maybe still play, but how do you get 22 people on a football field and try to social distance there, or on the sideline where you've got, sometimes 40 or 50 other kids that are not in the game?
I'm worried for football at all levels. I just don't see it.
I think the issue, though, that people have already discussed, we might as well just get around to it, is the money. If you don't have football, how do you subsidize the other sports? I believe, Todd, did you not do an article years back about the fact that pretty much basketball can self-sustain and football pays for it and everybody else?
Basically, yeah.
Right. I mean,
it's a
rough estimate.
At most sports, at most schools, the schools that have football as a sport, football is a big money maker. It is here at Caldwell County, because if you look out there on any football Friday night, there's 2,000 or 3,000 people in the stands, and you can quickly do the math on what everybody paid to get in and what kind of gate that was, and those are just numbers that other sports can't quite get to. And part of it is because, well, football's been around forever, and this is a big football community. I don't think that's a big secret. But some of the other sports play at the same times. Baseball and softball kind of compete against each other for, spectators, and the two soccer teams and volleyball kind of pull apart, the crowd during fall season when football doesn't have that. Football kind of has Friday night to itself for the most part.
Well, I think football at all levels, it's safe to say, pays the bills.
Well, at Western, I'm sure you've already probably heard things about when will the athletes get back for the summer? What will they be allowed to do? What type of recruiting is there? And I keep hearing the contracts of the television revenue and how that pays the bills. But you have a different animal in the college ranks in that a college football player is pretty much a college football player. I mean, even if you play another sport, by rule, the Bear Bryant rule, you have to be on football scholarship, even if you run track or play baseball or something else. So you're a football player, you are committed to football, period, as your athletic endeavor. Not the same in high school. So I do realize the financial aspect of football, and the thing that they need is the fans in the seats as well. And that's going to be even as problematic as playing.
Well, that's something we talked about earlier. It was suggested that you could go back to playing sports but not have any fans in the stands. Professional sports and some colleges can get away with that, as you guys mentioned, because of the TV money. High schools don't get TV money. Again, the money that's made is because there's a big crowd at the game. And now if you're saying we can't have a big crowd, well, that kind of takes away the great big advantage of playing football games.
But also no fans, college and professional, is a trickle-down effect because now the community is not making any money. So no secret, I'm a UK fan, so I'm in Lexington most Saturday afternoons. Now you don't have 45, 50,000 people coming into Lexington on a Friday night, Saturday afternoon. So the restaurants aren't making any money. Hotels aren't making any money. Shirt vendors aren't making any money. Everybody's losing if you go with no fans. Now the institution's going to be fine because they're going to get their cut of the SEC money. But nobody else is winning.
If you're not going to have fans in the stands for high school football, it becomes extremely expensive to pay for insurance, transportation, reconditioning of equipment. I mean, unless you're just going to have a donor or some group subsidize it, it's not very efficient. You need that revenue because football's expensive. Right. And when you even consider the fact that you might lose 2 games, say, well, one gate is going to be very instrumental because the equipment charge isn't going to go down whether you play one fewer game. The transportation goes down slightly, but the insurance probably isn't going to go down. The coaching stipends aren't going to go down. You're still going to need one gate. Like you said, one gate is significant.
And you have officials you have to pay. There are more officials at a football game than I'm guessing any other sport. So, that all adds into it too.
And there are instances where you think, well, colleges have talked about playing in the spring. Well, that seems like it would sound good at first, but once again, those football players are committed to football. They don't play other sports where high school athletes play other sports, and I think it would be a hard sell to play that many football games in one calendar year.
Well, and getting back to the officials thing, Chris, you can attest to that. If you tried to play all the sports in the spring, there wouldn't be enough officials.
There's not going to be enough officials because many of your officials officiate multiple sports. A lot of officials go year-round. It's either base football into basketball into baseball or the reverse, so you're going to really have a shortage. But back to the equipment, you would have to sanitize the equipment almost after every practice. And who has the money to constantly sanitize equipment? There are some schools, high schools, that have big money donors and boosters that could probably be fine, but most of your schools, you think of your smaller schools that are barely making it playing football, they can't afford to sanitize the bus every time, sanitize the locker room every time, sanitize the equipment every time.
With distancing, it'll take 6 buses.
Yeah, there's another point. I mean, it's a whole lot of things. The governor did come out and say we could have some youth sports starting June 15th. However, the governor also put out guidelines that almost make that impossible to pull off. So I guess the big question is, does anybody think we'll actually end up having youth sports this summer?
Some have already decided that they're not going to do it. I believe I saw that Murray has decided they're just not going to do the youth sports. I think our local is still investigating. Marshall, I believe, is still investigating. So I've been trying to look on Facebook and other places to see. A lot of it may determine KSSAA's meeting today, I believe, 2 o'clock. You can look at it on YouTube if you're interested. I think what KSSAA would put out might be able to be compared to what the governor put out. And if there are differences, even though they're for different age groups, KSSAA for 13 and up, youth sports 12 and under, maybe you get some reconciliation between the two, and maybe together you can get a consensus of what is the way to go for now.
I don't see, with what came out for the 12 and under, I don't see how you could play a 12 and under baseball game with those guidelines.
Well, it's almost impossible. And you say, well, they're guidelines. Can you cut a few corners? And maybe you can, but it's still almost impossible to pull off a youth league and youth games if you look at the list and go by what they're recommending that you try to do.
But if the first time you cut a corner in the society we live in, you're going to end up in court.
Well, the other issue would be, it's kind of like when the drinking age was 21 federally, but states by the law could be 18. Well, the federal government said, sure, you can keep it 18, but you'll get no federal road money. Well, same issue here. Yes, you can make up your own guidelines entity, but when you apply for a grant for your park, we'll remember. So the power of the purse is pretty crucial here, and you'd have to have a scenario where you feel like the park could justify doing it to their satisfaction. I mean, who is going to be able to go and install touchless water faucets in every bathroom that you have on this short of notice? I don't think that's feasible.
Who has the money to buy touchless water faucets for some of these parks?
Yeah, that's the key, too, is the financial impact. Because now I do completely understand the concession only wanting prepackaged foods. That is logical, I would think. However,
that's easy.
It's easy and it's logical, but it cuts into your profit in some. It limits what you can sell and buy, and your concession may not be as practical, and that's a place where youth sports gets money.
Well, I think we would all prefer to play, most of us anyway. I think that would be, the way I would prefer to go, but at the same time, you do have to take precautions. But at this point in time, I think it would be difficult to play with the guidelines as they are in place right now. But that's another issue, to leagues that decide now that they're not going to play. Who's to say in 3 weeks the governor won't send out another list of guidelines that are a lot less restrictive, and then you could have played, but if you've already pulled the plug, you can't really go back and start back up again. So, I think a lot of youth organizations are just kind of trying to kick the can down the road a few weeks and just see what happens.
Well, if anything, I'm kind of thinking about our Bowling Green local slow pitch softball league. We've already missed the spring league. Spring league, we're not going to be able to play. We would be playing the tournament right now. My thing is, I hope when the restrictions relax, that our league commissioner just says we'll have a robust fall league, and because we had to let spring and summer go because we couldn't even though our team is fairly set, it still take us a few days, about a week, to get everything ready, and we hadn't been able to hit.
I figured you'd just cross the line into Tennessee. Found you a lot down there. Well, you may not, but many who have teams will be playing in Tennessee and Indiana and even further. So the Clarksville, Tennessees of the world and Franklin, Tennessees, border counties, I think, Evansville, Indiana, I think they're going to see an uptick.
Well, it's a tough call, and you kind of feel for people that are in charge because nobody wants anybody to get the coronavirus or have any, health difficulties. But at the same time, people want to try to get back to some kind of normalcy, following all of this. So it's really difficult for anybody to put out anything where everybody's happy and everybody feels safe at the same time.
Now, the one sport I don't understand why they're not playing, because it is the perfect social distancing sport, and you never touch someone else's equipment. Why can't they play tennis?
Yeah. Pretty good point, yeah.
I don't know either. I guess because the balls get reused and they are touched by different people, where in golf, you don't even touch your opponent's golf ball. But in tennis, if I serve and it goes past me, I got to go get the ball they served. Maybe it's really all about the shared ball.
I was talking about professionals.
Oh, professionals. Okay.
Why are they not playing tennis? Because you can toss in a fresh ball that's been
That's
sanitized.
true. Yes, you can do that.
And nobody ever touches a ball. Why can't they play tennis?
That's a good point. I thought you meant youth tennis.
No, I was talking about professional tennis.
Talking this morning with Gary Goodaker and Chris George. Need to get to a break here on the show, but we'll be back with more after this on the Sideline Report here on WPKY.
The Joshua Tree Boutique on the Court Square in historic downtown Princeton is so glad to be back open. They've missed their customers so much. Since the last time you visited, a lot of new merchandise has arrived. You'll find a beautiful selection of spring and summer fashions just waiting for you, and the selection of jewelry is the best ever. They'll be sanitizing and practicing social distancing for your safety and theirs. Visit the Joshua Tree Boutique on the Court Square, downtown Princeton, and be sure to follow them on Facebook.
The most popular Quit line is Quit Now Kentucky, offering confidential one-on-one coaching for Kentuckians who want to quit tobacco, which includes cigarettes, cigars, e-cigs, dip, and chew. Some people are eligible for free nicotine replacement therapy. Coaching is available by phone or online chat. Quit Now Kentucky is available to all ages. To learn more about Quit Now Kentucky, call 800-QUIT-NOW. That's 800-784-8669. Find more on the web at Quit Now Kentucky. This message brought to you by Penny Ryle District Health Department.
We continue on the Sideline Report here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Gary Goodaker and Chris George on the show with us today. And before we go any further, I do want to let everybody know that Chris George has been elected as the incoming Council for Opportunity and Education Board Chair-elect. And Chris, you have to tell us what that means and what you're going to be doing.
Well, the Council for Opportunity and Education is a DC-based organization that promotes college access and success for low-income first-generation students. And it is a collaborative of 10 regions across the country. And the board chair is the chair, just what it says, the chair of the board for 1 year. And I will be the chair of the board in 2021.
Does that mean more trips for you?
About the same.
So how many trips do you get to take a year? Because every time I look on Facebook, you're in a different part of the country.
Oh, somewhere around 10 or 12. I crisscross the country. I'm kind of enjoying these. One good thing is I've got work done at home because I haven't been able to go anywhere. I think I've canceled 5 trips since March.
But tell us about the new position a little bit more and exactly what all will you have to do there.
Well, like I said, not really just oversee the board meetings and work with the DC-based staff on whatever comes up during that year that we need to work on, whether it's legislative or policy. It just every day is different when you're dealing with federal money.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I got some trivia for you right now. Today is a very important date in Caldwell County sports history. You guys have any ideas what happened on this date?
I cheated. I listened to you religiously.
I was going to say, I gave a pretty big
May
clue
28th?
earlier. Yes.
I'm sorry. I know the answers. But I'll tell you, since it happens to coincide with my graduation year. That was the first regional championship in baseball.
Okay. I was like, May 28th?
I wasn't good enough to play with them, but I got to play against them in Little League, and it was quite a joy. That was one whale of a group of baseball players.
So was that the 91?
91 championship.
29 years ago today, Caldwell County beat Henderson County 13-12 in the second region baseball championship game in Henderson, no less. Nothing sweeter than getting to celebrate on the other team's home field when you win a regional championship, and that's a pretty good baseball team right there for the Tigers.
I read your article. I think you wrote didn't you write something a couple of weeks ago? I read that I forgot how loaded that team was. So much talent.
It was. I tell you, I think what I said. I did enjoy playing against them in the Junior Babe Ruth, but that was a group that iron sharpened iron. Every night when I was 12, I was going to see a good pitcher. Every night when I was 13, 14, I was going to see a good pitcher. You didn't have to leave the county to see quality pitching, and the bats got better because of it. The pitching got better because of it. And that's something that I think is lost today because of the way we've gone. But, in travel ball, you can pick your competition. You want to win the 75th C division in 12 whatever, fine. But you couldn't pick your competition growing up. You had to face whoever was here, and if they were good, you either got better or you didn't get to play. So I think we lose some of that because travel ball, you can pick your level of competition. You couldn't do that back 30 years ago.
Well, I think initially travel ball was good because it was the best goal.
Well, it was then.
Against the best.
Yes.
But now, every time a kid doesn't get what they want, somebody just goes out and makes another travel ball team, and so that kid can play shortstop.
Going back to the Caldwell-Henderson game, though, I think that's probably one of the best baseball games I've ever seen. Now, the Tigers had some other runs recently, back-to-back regional championships in 16 and 17. Certainly, Gary, you and I saw the run up at the All-A Classic, and Chris, you were there too, right?
Not the All-A. I missed the All-A.
It was the state tournament.
But I was there for the state tournament game. In 16, that was a great ball game.
Was that the game where the first baseman got Shane's double, or we'd been up 2-1?
Yeah. Correct.
Oh, yeah, that's true, because that's when Chris told me we were going live, and I said, live what? And then he introduced me to Facebook Live right before I became this video sensation that I am today now. So he got me. I'm not going to have to lie on that one. He had me good.
I wish we had some Facebook video of that shot down the line against Louisville Holy Cross that was called foul, but Caldwell County fans to this day swear that it was clearly fair, and Caldwell County probably beats Holy Cross for the All-A State Championship. I mean, you never know how games play out if you change one play, but that play going the other way, it didn't help.
It was pivotal. And both teams were very good teams, and that was a interesting day because it was so cold in the semifinals, but it got fairly warm for the finals.
In comparison, for sure.
Yeah,
it was like 37 degrees when we got there.
Wow.
Yeah,
because we had the early Sunday morning
like
semifinal.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Now, didn't that tournament have some rain or?
The next year it did. The next year
was when it got crazy with the rain.
And then we had to try to reschedule, and it didn't work very well. And we didn't advance, I don't think, in that one. But I tell you, I mean, it's going to be there. We've had some good runs in baseball, and I think this is really going to hurt baseball having this year off. This was a year where kids were going to get their opportunity to cut their teeth. You're going to see starting lineups in 2021. Assuming everything gets better, and by then we're playing with 7, 8, even maybe 9 batters in your lineup who have very little, if any, varsity experience. And good luck, you're a varsity player now because you have 2 graduating classes who have vacated.
Well, people discount in baseball the importance of just getting swings in. And when you lose a entire year and you're a freshman, those swings you were going to get were very important. So you're going to really have 2 years worth of freshmen next year at most places.
Now, in the big schools, you'll probably think, oh, well, you've got lots of kids. But at the really big schools, you probably don't even touch varsity till you're a junior. Correct. Unless you're a D1 stud, you don't make varsity till you're a junior and get on that field. So that would be like the Bowling Greens and the Warrens of the world. But around here, we kind of have to fill holes with freshmen and sophomore because of our size being about 550. Well, Caldwell, you could have, like I said, about 7 kids batting varsity for the first time, and they're counted on to produce. It's going to be, the small schools are going to have a very, very interesting time about the fact that year was so crucial.
Caldwell County baseball has had such a run, though, that you knew at some point there was going to be a rebuilding phase. You just couldn't keep that pace up. But even the last time we got to play, nobody picked the Tigers to win anything, and they got to the regional championship game and had a chance to pull that one off too. And an interesting stat that I didn't realize until recently, if you go back to 2016 through 2019 for baseball and softball, there's been a Caldwell County team in the regional championship game every year.
Say that again?
From 2016 to 2019, baseball and softball together, there's been at least one Caldwell County team in a regional championship game every year.
And in softball, we were going to go through a pitching transition, so you need to get those girls in the circle against live batters. Now, in softball, sometimes a younger player is able to crack earlier because girls hit their maturity a little earlier relative to boys, but still our softball program is going to have to they're already going to have to put in a new pitcher to do the load this year. Now it's been delayed because that group of people didn't get the chance to fight for it.
Kind of interesting that baseball won the region in 16 and 17. Softball was in the regional final in 18 and lost an extra inning game to Christian County. And don't want to pick on the officials, Chris, and you are one. But there was a call in that softball game that a lot of Lady Tiger fans are still like, hey, if the call had gone the other way, we may beat Christian County and get to go to the state tournament. So there's always, you can always find a call here or there or a play here or there. And even the second year the baseball team went to the All-A Classic, I believe they played Somerset. Really good Somerset team, by the way. Love the Briar Jumpers. But there was a ball hit to end the ball game that I think Caldwell was down a run.
We were down a run. It was 2 outs, so they were running. The first run, if you will, had already been on the plate. So if that ball falls, the tying run automatically scores, and I think Logan Smiley was a courtesy runner. In the picture, he's well-rounded third. He scores because he had to dive. There's no way if he dives and traps it, he ever gets up and throws him. It literally was one of those very few plays where, because of the circumstances, the catch means the team wins and a drop or a trap means the team loses. It was literally win or lose on one play.
But kudos to the right fielder for Somerset. I believe he's the one that came in and made the diving play. And you mentioned earlier the first baseman for Scott County basically robbed Caldwell County of a first-round win in the state tournament. So a lot of times
baseball
it comes down to one play.
Are like that. One play really can. And it's not always the ending play like in that baseball game. It could be a play in the third inning. It really can turn your momentum. And it's just a joy to talk about. I just wish we were talking about games that were played in 2020.
Right. Well, mentioning the one play thing, saves don't always come at the end of the ball game. That's when a pitcher gets a save, but sometimes that guy that comes in the fifth inning and gets 2 outs when the bases are loaded and leaves those guys on the bases is the one who actually saved the game.
That's the beauty of baseball and softball, and I know a lot of people say baseball is a little bit too slow and they can't really enjoy it, but baseball is the one sport that changes, and softball, it changes pitch to pitch.
Well,
one pitch.
One point there, I think we've allowed baseball to become slow. I think if you go back 100 years or even 75 years, I don't think baseball games were slow.
Go back 40 years.
Yeah.
I've been watching some of these MLB games. These games in the 80s, with fewer strikeouts and more emphasis on running, they were trying to put the ball in play quickly and use their speed to get on. And pitchers weren't necessarily trying to strike you out. They were trying to pitch, unless you were Nolan Ryan or Steve Carlton, a lot of them were pitching to contact.
But even major leagues today, they're looking for ways to speed up the game. And, of course, the first thing is, why do you have a 4-minute break between every inning? I mean, that's where a lot of the time is coming in. But if you go back and look at the old box scores, you can see a 12-inning game that took 2 hours and 15 minutes to play. Well, it's not that the game is inherently slow. It's just that we've allowed it to become so.
Go back and watch any game Greg Maddux pitched. And you understand why. You can quickly understand why baseball is slow now, because Greg Maddux is not going to waste on 0-2. Greg Maddux is going to go ahead and get you out 0-2. Whereas now you've got to waste a pitch.
Well, he's going to throw strikes. He's going to throw an 85-pitch complete game. And these days, 85 pitches maybe get you into the fourth inning.
And you got specialization as well. Well, now I got to have the lefty specialist come in, and now he's only going to pitch to one batter, and then the righty specialist. And every time you make a change, that's 5 minutes.
Well, I think pitchers should pitch more to contact than they do. And maybe part of that is the ballparks in the majors have become so small that pitchers are scared to pitch to contact. I don't think pitchers should be out there trying to strike out every batter. You're just trying to get them out. That's probably something that Greg Maddux understood as much as anybody, that, that ground ball to second base on a 1-0 pitch is a whole lot more preferable than throwing 10 pitches to strike somebody out.
And also, you got to look at baseball has turned into everybody's wearing a play bracelet now, and you got to call the defense. We're running red 235, and the infield's got to shift, so you got to shift. And I'm play baseball. Just play baseball.
What's interesting to me is I think this is Earl Weaver ball from the Orioles. He wanted basically going for the 3-run homer.
Right.
He didn't steal bases. He was ahead of his time is a phrase that makes you think that you like it, but time-wise he was playing what we play now back then. He didn't care if you struck out. He wasn't trying to steal second base and play for a run. I think his saying was, if you play for a run, that's what you'll get. In his mind, why play for a run every inning where he believes he could get 3 or 4 at a time his way, right or wrong?
If you do that in 2 different innings, you've put up 6, 7, 8 runs, and you're probably going to win the game more times than not.
Right, but that's what people are doing now. I think they just want the home run because, well, if you're going to shift, home runs beat shifts. So maybe you just feel like if they're going to shift and I'm going to hit these seeing eye singles become ground outs, maybe I have to hit over it.
But the shift is something that's been in the game since the 1920s.
Yes, Ted Williams was shifted on many
people
times.
act like that's something that people just started doing, and it's been in the game forever. To me, I think the big contracts are a lot of it. Guys get paid a lot of money to hit home runs, maybe not so much money to hit a sacrifice fly,
Yeah, the shift has been around, but not this extreme
I'll give you
shifting
that.
that we're seeing.
Yeah.
I'm fine if you shade the shortstop up the middle a little bit more, or the second baseman up the middle, or the first or third baseman gives the line and shifts over a little bit. But this extreme shifting where the third baseman is playing almost right up the middle, and the second shortstop is playing second, and the second baseman's playing rover, because that's what it is. It's a softball rover. It's nothing but a softball rover.
But like Gary said, people would take their shortstop and put them between the first and second baseman when Ted Williams came to the plate. I think Stan Musial probably saw some shifts. Of course, the best way to beat the shift is to hit the ball the other way, but again, that doesn't get you a great big contract. Tony Gwynn could make that work, and Wade Boggs could make that work, but
that's why they didn't shift against them.
Yeah,
they didn't do any good.
Most of the hitters today, though, I think you guys are right. It's either a home run or a strikeout. And there was a time when it was almost a little embarrassing to strike out if you were a baseball player. But now if you can hit 50 homers, well, who cares if you strike out 150 times?
But they've done the analysis, and most outs are no more productive than a strikeout. Now, we've heard productive out, but there's a reason it's called a productive out. It's because it's kind of rare. A ground out to second, if nobody's on, there's a minute chance that a major league second baseman's going to bobble it, but it's minute. The risk is worth in the statistics to try to hit the bomb.
Need to get to another break here on the show, talking with Gary Goodaker and Chris George this morning. Back with more after this on the Sideline Report here on 1580 103.3 WPKY.
The most popular quit line is Quit Now Kentucky, offering confidential one-on-one coaching for Kentuckians who want to quit tobacco, which includes cigarettes, cigars, e-cigs, dip, and chew. Some people are eligible for free nicotine replacement therapy. Coaching is available by phone or online chat. Quit Now Kentucky is available to all ages. To learn more about Quit Now Kentucky, call 800-QUIT-NOW. That's 800-784-8888. 8669. Find more on the web at Quit Now Kentucky. This message brought to you by Penny Ryle District Health Department.
Even though COVID-19 has changed our lives and created a sense of uncertainty for many, here's something you can count on. Penny Ryle Electric is as committed as ever to keeping the power on. We are doing all that we can to help keep your family healthy at home and safe at work. Continue disinfecting high-touch surfaces frequently. Check in on your neighbors and loved ones often. And of course, wash your hands. You've got the power to make a difference. And you can count on Penny Ryle Electric to be here for you every day.
We are on the Sideline Report here on 1580 103.3 WPKY. Gary Goodaker and Chris George in the studio with us today. Good to get the Stats crew back together and all in the same place for a Sideline Report. Glad you guys could both come in today. I do have some news. I don't know if anybody saw this yesterday or not, but it was on yoursportsedge.com. Musa Cisse is not going to be at the West Kentucky Hoops Classic. I'm a little bummed about that, but still fired up about the Hoops Classic because going to be some great basketball played here late December, the 28th and 29th. But the Memphis-Lausanne big man announced he's going to reclassify from 2021 to 2020. So that means instead of coming to Princeton, he's going to be playing on a college basketball court someplace.
Well, I expect to see more of that over the summer. Those kids aren't going to be able to play on the summer AAU circuit. Why not dive into the coursework and go ahead and reclassify if you're close? Also, with colleges waiving ACT and SAT requirements, if you've got your core GPA, be smart and go ahead and reclassify.
Because you might not make it next year. The waiver may
Correct.
not be there next year. Of course, I realize now that I now have figured out what I need to do when I retire from teaching. If I could just run the transfer portal and the recruiting websites, I would be so busy I wouldn't have any time to do anything else. We've definitely got the news on Cisse if he's an candidate to be at UK. I think that has to do maybe with whether the Wake Forest transfer Sarr, I believe, Olivier Sarr, is given the immediate waiver to play. I don't think you get both Sarr and Cisse.
Well, I hope he ends up at UK just so we can all continue to get to say Musa Cisse. It's fun to say.
Is it as fun as Johnny Juzang?
Well, and he's been declared eligible at UCLA, so
But that's a good sign.
him.
I think that's a good sign for
Is it, though?
Well, if anybody who is declared eligible on such a move, you would think that would help the case for Olivier Sarr.
Well, no, I'm sure his entourage pitched that he was going 15 minutes from his house at UCLA, whereas Sarr is from France. So we can't, nowhere near Lexington.
We're trying.
And I didn't do that well
what
in
about
geography.
Versailles, isn't that? I think he just thought that was home, so he's going to get an apartment in Versailles. It's going to be okay. We're good. But about the transferring, I mean, you're right. The waiver of the ACT is going to make some students who were not able to be eligible to get so because of the testing issue and the COVID-19. But I tell you, the other waiver I'm curious about is Joey Gatewood, the quarterback transfer. He applied, I believe. Have we heard anything on that?
I'm not sure.
Not that I'm aware of, but let him set, learn the playbook. No need for a quarterback controversy.
Well, and the thing about Kentucky football is UK football was lined up to have a pretty good season, and now the whole COVID-19 thing is hit, and we don't even know if we're going to have a season. But I think Kentucky, Chris, you can maybe touch on this some too. I think Kentucky was probably going to start the year ranked in the top 25.
I would have been disappointed if they weren't somewhere between 20 and 25 with as much talent as they were returning. 4 offensive linemen that are likely to be NFL draft picks next year. 2 of which could probably be first round. When you got first round tackles, you got something. So yeah, they were set up for a pretty good year. I was thinking 8-4, 9-3.
Now last year was a lot of fun, but a bit of an anomaly the way it all came together. But man, you can't deny how much fun the last half of the season was for a UK fan.
Yeah, I loved it. Watching Lynn do what he did. You know, everybody knows they're going to run the ball. and the guy still goes out and runs for 200 yards.
How unique is that? Because number one, it's the classic case of zag when everyone zigs. Everyone's throwing. Everyone's 4 wide. Defenses weren't set up to do this because you don't have these maulers to stop the run. Everyone's spread out. You want these linebackers who can drop into coverage. Well, Lynn Bowden took advantage of the fact that, number one, he was the quarterback, so he got the extra blocker. And like you said, who has the personnel to do this anymore? It's not what you see. So it really was, of course, you'd like to think that we figured it out because of brilliance, but it was of necessity. But at least they didn't talk themselves out of it.
But you think there are 3 factors that, first, a great offensive line that just went out and were just road graders. But 2 selfless wide receivers who knew they weren't going to catch a pass, but were willing to go out and downfield block. And 3, you just got a guy that treated every offensive snap like it was a punt return or a kickoff return.
Well, you talked about these offensive linemen we have. This is how you keep getting offensive linemen, is that you show that they get drafted and that they get to run block, and you get those ones to come. And when you keep getting offensive linemen enough to have competition, then you can pretty much run whatever offense you want.
And the running backs that were back there with Bowden were pretty good too.
Yes.
So you could never just key on that guy or somebody else would burn you.
Well, you had 3 solid running backs behind him. All 3 uniquely did something different. I mean, you had a burner, you had a power guy, and you had more of a little all-purpose back. And, you just rotate them in. I didn't always agree with the way Eddie Gran rotated them. I would have given Chris Rodriguez more carries than A.J. Rose. But still, the way they rotated them in, they kept them fresh. And once again, some guys that were willing blockers.
But the other thing, we keep saying this all the time, we don't see practice. Maybe one running back doesn't do what Gran wants in practice, and that filters down into playing time, where when we see on the field what we like, they see what they like. I mean, that's the thing about coaching, is you all have preferences of abilities and styles, and sometimes our preferences aren't what the coaching staff.
I see C-Rod as baby Benny, and that's why I wanted him to get more.
Anything, 60% of Benny is still pretty good.
This is the Sideline Report on 1580, 103.3 WPKY, Princeton, Kentucky. Just one more question. We're talking about Kentucky football and the SEC as a whole. Once again, we kind of come full circle, but do we get to see football this fall? And would the SEC maybe go rogue if the NCAA decides not to play? Would the SEC, because of big TV contracts, would they put together their own schedule inside the conference, or maybe pair up with another conference like the ACC and try to make a go of it that way?
I had never thought of such a thing, but I think the NCAA would be scared to death, because if anybody ever did it and proved it could work, I think it could be the death of the NCAA. So I don't think, if the SEC decided they were going to do such a thing, I think the NCAA would actually be the tail wagged by the SEC dog.
The NCAA better be careful. If you let the Power 5 conferences figure out they can do it on their own and with their own rules, you got big problems.
But there are going to be some states that I don't think will allow their colleges to play.
California.
Meanwhile, there are going to be other states like Florida and a bunch of the South where they're going to say, sure, go ahead. So I don't see the places that can play not playing just because the other places can't play, if that makes any sense.
I see the finances of it dictating that they have to play in some capacity. I'm just not sure what that capacity is.
I think the smaller colleges are more likely to play because they don't have large endowments. We're talking like NAIA type schools. If they don't have their football players come to campus, they may be insolvent. A lot of these smaller colleges, the percentage of students who are athletes is much higher than you might think, and that's their main student recruiting base. And I think if you have a season where one of these smaller colleges says we can't play football, a bunch of those kids are going to go, I'm not even coming. I only came for that. And they're going to lose too much tuition revenue.
Yeah, you think about the some of the Lindsey Wilsons, the Campbellsville of the world, those students aren't going there if they're not getting to compete. They're going there. Otherwise, they're going to a Murray or a UK if they're just going to, or a Western if they're just going to be a student.
Well, it's cheaper.
Props to Lindsey Wilson, though. I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter yesterday or not, but somebody put out a tweet that listed the most football wins from, I think, 2013 through 2019. And I think Western Kentucky was number one on the list with like 57. Maybe Louisville was next with 56. Kentucky was down next. But Lindsey Wilson actually put out a tweet that said, fixed it. Lindsey had 67 wins during that time, so that's pretty good.
WKU would be higher if we hadn't that one little issue where we got somebody in there who couldn't coach and trying to ruin the program. But not going to take it personal.
How do you really feel? I mean,
I didn't say any names. I just said we had an error. Every once in a while, institutions make an error when they hire a coach.
Oh, my.
I did have some WKU football information on the WPKY sports report today just because I knew you were coming in, Chris.
That's all you about Oliver.
Yeah, so there we go. Anything else, Gary? Anything else you want to add before we get out of here today?
I would just encourage anybody who's really interested to check out the KHSAA's Board of Control meeting on YouTube. I believe it's 2 Central. If not, watch it. Be looking for tweets. I'm sure Todd will tweet out stuff. Scott Brown, your Sports Edge. They'll get the information out quickly because theoretically the dead period ends Sunday. So maybe this is just my take on it. They would have to have action to extend it because in a normal world, June 1st is not dead. So I would be curious to see what they do concerning what they allow and don't allow.
And Chris, anything else to throw out there?
Everybody use common sense, and be good to everybody else. This is just a weird time that none of us, we're all going through something different that weren't think was going to happen. So just kind of, when you go out, if you go out, think about what that person may be afraid to be out, and that's why they're wearing their mask or what have you, or maybe a little standoffish. Just be kind.
Well, and we're all anxious, like I said, to get back to what we think is something normal, and sometimes you have to temper that just a little bit. But, for sports guys like us, it's like I've said before, 2 months without sports is every bit as horrible as I thought it would be, I'm ready to see some ball games.
Seems like 2 years, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, I will not. Well, I probably will. But I was going to say I will not complain about officiating when sports comes back. But
that will
come football season, I will complain. I might get it through a quarter without complaining about a holding call or a missed pass interference.
All right, that's going to wrap us up. Thanks for joining us on the Sideline Report today. Gary, Chris, thanks for coming in and being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
And thanks to everybody for listening to the Sideline Report here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
Celebrating 70 years of community service. We're 1580, 103.3 WPKY Princeton.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. 2.1 million more Americans asked for